Before we jump into this crazy Tokyo Revengers episode, arguably the most important moment in a long time, I mean, our boy, he told Chifuyu, and being best boy, even if he is a little dense, I mean, he was right there. He's that ride or die, and that is just excellent. I do gotta make a mention, last week's video didn't really get that many views, but you showed me you do want to see more of these. I mean, it almost got like 200 likes on a 1,000 view video. Like, that's absolutely crazy. Like, for a video to have like a 20% like average to view ratio, that doesn't happen a lot. So as long as you keep showing me with those comments and likes, I'll keep covering this show, even if it doesn't perform that well on YouTube, because I think us Tokyo Revengers Ride or Die fans, we know this show needs to be discussed, and I appreciate the support. Just keep showing it, and I'll keep making these videos. But yeah, this episode, it was heat, man. I mean, I was literally in the moment, because I have a full live reaction. I do full live reactions over on my Patreon, so if you want to see that, go consider supporting. In the middle of talking, right, I'm like, oh man, like, he needs to tell someone, but like, how is he going to tell someone I'm from the future, right? No one's gonna believe him. And then like a minute later, he tells our boy, and our boy's like, yeah, I kind of figured. And then he's like, well, I didn't really think you were from the future, but there's a lot of weird things about you, Takemichi. So I kind of was like, you know what? Maybe you do know something, like the fact that you're literally telling people not to die as if you've seen them die before. And just to see that, right? To see that kind of relief, because the only time he ever has a chance to talk with anyone is with Nauta when he goes to the future, when he fails usually. And I mean, when you have to literally balance two different lives and your autopilot form is kind of doing its own thing, I mean, who doesn't break down and cry and want to just give up? So the fact that he now has two people in two different time periods that he can actually interact with and actually just finally not feel like he's alone, like, completely, because most of his time is spent in the past. That is absolutely excellent, man. Like, that is hands down the thing that he needed in order to make this season have a chance, because I had no idea what he was going to do. And by the end of this episode, we're already seeing those changes take place. Maybe Chifuyu isn't the most logical person ever, and his plan A and plan B don't really go that far. But I think the fact that Takemichi spoke out and said, I don't want him to go away, and yes, maybe they got mad because they thought he was goofing off, it doesn't change the fact that his captain, our boy, when he was about to leave, he acts like he's not going anywhere. So Takemichi is starting to change the course. I mean, if he would have went to Black Dragon, it would have been game over. He would have ended up killing his brother. They're saying it's about money. I still think that's a misdirect and a red herring, and we'll get into that in a bit. But nonetheless, we know the general course, and then Black Dragon would have then made an alliance or something, and just everything would have went very, very poorly. So the fact that things are changing, and Takemichi is getting that sigh of relief, this is the most important thing that has happened to date, because here's the thing. If he had to keep going at this alone, he would have broke. He would have just continued to try to change things. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't, and eventually we would get to the point where 12 years back, it's not even enough to change anything, right? So the fact that things are looking more hopeful, the fact that a character realistically believes someone who is weird, because when you look at Takemichi, right, the way he's gotten to being a commander, right, I mean, he's not the most physically fit, he's someone who's a little weird, and he says things almost as if he can see things before they happen at times, and the stuff that maybe doesn't really come across as that, it does seem odd that he would be so worried for someone as if they are about to die. So for Chifuyu to just say like, hey, you're weird and it kind of all makes sense and I'm just mad that this bastard ends up killing me, I mean, I'm gonna kill him first. Like, it just all makes sense. And it's just, those are the moments that make me love Tokyo Revengers, because it's such a complex time travel story with such a emotional burden, with such a very strict rule set of how things operate. And the fact that we can finally say, yes, past, present, doesn't matter. We have at least one person who can give our boy, when he falls down, that moral boost. Though you could argue, damn, if they end up killing him before, obviously we saw in the present timeline, I mean, that's gonna sting all the more. So maybe the play is to get more and more people convinced. But as it stands, just having that one shoulder to kind of cry on, I mean, he needs it. I mean, no one can say with a straight face they would do better than Takemichi and they wouldn't emotionally break down. He's getting his ass literally beat by JoJo characters, and the fact that he can still stand up for other people, I mean, not many people can do that, let alone consider the fact that no matter what he does, everyone he loves is probably going to end up dead. This boy has been through the ringer, so to finally get someone who's just there for him to be that ride or die bro, That's what he needed. Like, this arc so far, from what we've seen over 3 quick episodes of Tokyo Revengers, this arc isn't playing. People may get disappointed by future arcs, or maybe they think it's a little rushed by the end, but I mean, everything that I heard about this arc, even before people maybe changed their tune about some of the manga content, they were hyping the Christmas Showdown arc up, and this arc is living up. I mean, this is going up against, we're going to war, all things considered. You can't beat up a commander of the gang and then get away with it. And the unfortunate thing is, even if they defeated the 9th generation Black Dragons, the 10th generation is a completely different ballpark. They're literally calling them like a military group. Like, their leader is a JoJo character with anger problems. He would beat up the anger management counselor and probably kill him, let's be honest. And the general members behind him, even if maybe we say we remove Taiju, right? Maybe they could beat them in a fair-to-fair match, brawl, whatever you want to call it. But still, they're psychos, they're maniacs, they're not normal people. So the fact of the matter is, they're at a severe disadvantage, but maybe the solution will be a spy. Originally, in that whole meeting, they were trying to say he was the spy for Black Dragon, but what if they send him over as the spy for their gang? Like, that could be the way they kind of get the jump on them, though it could also be the way we get him killed. But like I said, the whole concept of him killing his brother for money, which is the story that we're being told, it just doesn't sit right with me. The only thing that kind of would make sense that they would need money is for bail or something like that, but it just feels like that's a lie or something that the general public assumes. But there's got to be more to it. Like, I just don't see what would cause him to kill his brother other than maybe because he's an abusive piece of trash who hit his sister and maybe it gets worse and that could be the reason. I could see that, but I definitely think there's a misdirect in some way there. I just can't put my finger. It's almost like it's just under the tip of my nose. I'm just like, I know I can see it, I know there's something there, but I'm just oblivious to the obvious clue, and I'm excited to see what they do with that plot line. All in all though, Tokyo Revengers, this was hands down my favorite episode of the season, and I think over 3 episodes, they've made me more excited for the future than even that cliffhanger in season 1 did. There's a lot of uncertainty. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows and everything works out and Takemichi and his best bud can hold hands and everything goes okay. It is really the first time in a while that we've been able to let out a sigh of relief and say, present, past, doesn't matter. There's at least one character who has his back and knows the full truth. And the fact that you can be someone who's been fighting alone for no thanks, as he was said, like, I mean, this boy deserved it. And honestly, it's just, you need those moments, and I think that's why that meeting could have a little goofy shenanigans, because we finally were able to let out a sigh of relief and make it say, maybe it's not all hopeless after all. But thoughts and feelings and theories, if you got any down below, where do you think it's going to go with the whole Black Dragon plotline? Do let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell if you want to get as many notifications as possible for the channel, and like I mentioned, full live reaction is available on my Patreon. And while you're there, you'll also get a video shoutout like Kyle Kowalchuk, Luke, and Marion James E. Posada are getting today. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.